Crime Inside the Red Tape. I'm Dan Stover, joined by Tim Murphy and Maureen O'Connell. Will is off tonight due to surgery. He had to have surgery, and he was trying his darndest to get here, but he's just not going to be able to make it. There's a question often asked: when does a case become a cold case? A lot of people assume that if a case isn't solved in a few weeks or a few months, it's automatically cold. That's not necessarily true. A cold case isn't defined by the amount of time that's passed. It's defined by whether investigators have exhausted all available leads and the case is essentially stalled. As long as detectives are conducting interviews, analyzing evidence, serving warrants, reviewing tips, talking to people, and actively pursuing leads, the investigation remains alive. That's why, from our perspective as experienced investigators, the Nancy Guthrie investigation is not a cold case. There is still too much activity behind the scenes, too many unanswered questions, and too many investigative avenues left to pursue. Tonight, we're going to pull back the curtain and take you inside the red tape, the investigative process that the public rarely sees. We'll discuss Nancy Guthrie case, cold case strategies, the importance of 911 calls and police radio traffic. We'll answer your questions and make a major announcement about the future of big city crime. So grab a cup of coffee or a nice cold beverage, settle in, let's go inside the red tape. Tim, you want to get us started on this hot subject tonight?
Sure, Danny. You want me to do a reintroduction of myself?
Your illustrious
Yeah, why
career.
don't we start? Yeah, let's do that. So we're not getting. There might be new viewers that are checking us out that
Yeah.
we don't want to. We want to make sure they know who we are, what our
All right.
background is, right?
Yep.
Go ahead, Tim.
So my name is Tim Murphy. I'm a retired Chicago police homicide detective. I have over 35 years in law enforcement. Was partners with Danny there for 20, almost 22 and a half years in homicides. We did cold case, did the spectrum from uh, robberies, assaults, and the last 7 years we did officer involved shootings and officer involved fatalities. Maureen, how about you?
My name's Maureen O'Connell. I'm a 25-year veteran of the FBI, and I spent 20 years on the FBI's evidence response team. I'm also from the same neighborhood as these guys, and I can tell you that before Tim started working with Dan, he had a head of hair like mine. So if that tells you anything about what it's like working with Dan, that's
Yeah.
it in a nutshell.
Yes.
No, what it is it's amazing I still have here after working with Tim.
That's true. Yeah, both can be true at the same time.
That,
But I love him
that's
like
a
a brother.
that's a wig.
Yeah.
Oh no, it's not. Look at. So, I'm Dan Stover. I have 33 years in law enforcement, 31 with the Chicago Police Department, and I have 22 years in homicide. I retired as a homicide detective. Tim and I met in detective school, and we hit it off really well. And we went out to Area 2, which is on the far south side of Chicago, and we made arrangements with the boss to be able to be partners, and the rest is history. And our last 4 years, I think, as Tim said, we went to a citywide unit in which we handled nothing but police involved shootings, and that was my last 4 years on the job. So here we are, guys. Like I said earlier, Will had to have surgery yesterday. He tried his darndest to come onto the show tonight. We were like, just take it easy. But he wanted to be here for the big announcement, which you got to hang out with us because we'll do that toward the end of the show. So, why don't we get on with it, Tim? Let's start out by talking about the cold case.
Yeah. So you had mentioned with the Nancy Guthrie case, yeah, that case is not even close to being a cold case homicide. The difference between the cold cases and hot cases or in progress cases is, I think the biggest factor is a cold case detective has the ability to have time on their side, and there's a couple things. You lose the benefit of being the detective on scene that interviews the witnesses, but you have the benefit later of re-interviewing these witnesses. You have the benefit of the DNA or ballistics evidence that would come back later. So again, one off washes off on the other one, but I think the biggest thing is cold case detectives are able to specialize in reopening unsolved homicides, unsolved missing persons, unsolved deaths, and whatever traditionally whatever case a command staff member may give you to re-examine. Because Danny, if you remember, we got working cold case, we got saddled with some re-examination of some cases that were like, well, why are we tasked with doing this? And sometimes it's you have the benefit of the time on your side, where the detectives that are working running and gunning on a daily basis, they don't have that ability. So one of the disadvantages, I think the biggest disadvantages on a cold case is the ability to get stuff worked up. When I say worked up, I mean at the crime lab, at your forensics labs or your firearm labs, is because now you're competing for money, and you're competing for grant money. A lot of the cold cases are done through grants, through cold case grants. So let's say a homicide rolls in now today. We would all go out, work that scene. You may be working that scene, and depending upon what happens, it may be something where you got witnesses that you're able to grab, interview, get them into the office, and then run them down to the grand jury later in the week, and that case will come together. Some of these cold cases you have that don't have anything. So now you're going to be working to examine that stuff, and as that case gets colder, or not as many leads coming in, now you're going to be competing for money to get those evidence samples that you have that were never worked up in the very beginning. So it's
So, Tim, are
it's
you saying
long tedious work.
Are you saying that without the sense of urgency of a hot case, that you get kind of put on the back burner a little bit?
Yeah, and Dan, you know that we were fortunate in CPD to get some good grants that were written up. But yeah, Maureen is, you guys, I'm sure in a way you dealt with some of that at the FBI, but in local, some of these local police departments, they don't have the benefit that CPD had, where
That's
you
right.
have thousands of detectives. You go to a small department, they got one detective, and on the weekends he works patrol.
Right.
So I mean, it's these bigger departments have the benefit of having more manpower. So like in this situation now with the Nancy Guthrie case,
Right.
is they're going back essentially redoing everything that those initial detectives did when that case was hot, so to speak, when it was fresh and it was new. So I mean, you got a little bit over 100 days. It's a little bit over 3 months. It's not cold, but they're having the ability now to go back through their notes, look at witnesses. Okay, this person was interviewed. This person was interviewed. Oh, look, here's somebody that should have been interviewed that lived in a subdivision that maybe they weren't home at the time when detectives rolled by there, or something like that. So now that that'll get put on the list, a to-do list, so to speak.
Yeah, and something that I always thought was worked to our benefit with cold cases was as time passed. I think I spoke on this last time about how people that have to live in the community, as time goes by and they move away, they're more apt to talk because they may feel safer because they're no longer in the neighborhood. So that was always a benefit I felt with working cold case. But yeah, I agree with you. The Nancy's case is not cold. I don't want people to think that it is. I think that they're really working hard behind the scenes, and I pray that we're going to get some sort of resolution here, hopefully sooner than later.
Hey, Dan, I just wanted to touch base on something you had just said. Sorry, Maureen, to cut
Hey,
you off.
can everybody out there hear us and see us fine?
Yeah. I just wanted to touch base on something that Danny, you had mentioned is the ability and the luxury of re-interviewing people. And you know this is how many times have you gone in to re-interview somebody and you know that the person that you're re-interviewing ended up catching their own criminal case and they're put in the system. And maybe they had knowledge a year and a half ago or 2 years ago or 5 years ago or whatever it was. And now they're more willing to talk to you because they know, hey, I have information. Maybe I could use it to help my own criminal case, and I'll become a witness So I mean that's one avenue to explore.
Yeah. Excuse us out.
What's going on?
Maureen, did you have something?
Yeah, I was just going to say when it comes to.
Hey, everybody, sorry, it appears we're having, imagine this, technical difficulties.
Well, let's just go on. I don't know. Yeah, there we go. Our producer just popped in there. That was probably Svilar's, but whatever. One of the things I was thinking of is if you recall within the last week or so, we were able to hear a lot more of those 911 calls. And this is my point about this not being a cold case. And even though the police have known this since minute one because they were part of these 911 calls, it's very interesting the thread you can pull from information like this. For example, they said in that phone call that the reporting parties, which they had already identified as family, instead of a family member, they said the family said, which to me means it was two people, probably Annie and Tommaso. They were, because no one else lives within, over 1,000-mile radius. They said that they did not have access to anything to do with the cameras, which I found very interesting because I don't care what your camera situation is. They said they didn't have a subscription, etc. But how could you not have access to anything or not have access to any alerts or anything on your 84-year-old mom's stuff when you're the people that live, 4 minutes away?
Closest, yeah.
I just found that really, really surprising because that's a question many of our viewers and many of us have had since the very beginning. Who had access to all this stuff? Who was getting alerted when the person shows up at the door? Because like we all found out, you can even get that thumbnail image just from an alert without even the subscription. So no one was receiving those, or did they all go to Nancy's email without her knowing it? That just seemed very interesting at the very least to me.
I agree with you, Maureen. I was kind of dumbfounded when they put out there that they didn't have access to the cameras. I know I can speak from my own personal situation is when my mom was living alone, I had remote access to her cameras. I could pull up her cameras at any point in time. When she left the house, we would send her out of state for the winter. I could still look at her house to make sure that somebody wasn't burglarizing the house. I just didn't understand how the people that lived the closest to her, the family that lived the closest to her, didn't have access to get in there. Now it makes you wonder, did they have access to get her into her phone?
Right.
Because that was one of the things that was said on the on the radio dispatch calls.
Right. So to pull that thread a little bit, what are we going to have to do if we're the detectives on duty? What are we going to do with that information from that very day? Well, we're going to I'm going to image both their phones, which we saw them show up with the Celebrite to image their phones. I'm going to image both their phones, and I'm going to look for any of these thumbnails. I'm going to look for any alerts from that company. We're going to have to subpoena the company to see what they've got. We already heard initially the sheriff and others saying that there was nothing on there. The subpoena came back with pretty much no information available until the Bureau got involved and they decided to really do that in-depth scrape. And then there's a whole bunch of other things that you can go after just from that one sentence that was spoken, that they didn't have access to that. You're going to have to look at both of their phones and Nancy's phone and their email accounts. And that's a lot. That's a lot to go through. It's not going to take this long, but it's just one of the things that's on the to-do list or the punch list.
Well, like you said, Maureen, too, is you're going through that phone, and let's say you go through T's phone and you're going through his phone, you're going to want to know all the calls that he's made or received in the last 45 days. If not, all right, so you 45 days, you push it out to 60 days. So
Right.
you're going to be getting a lot of volume back, a lot of information back. Same thing with
Right.
A. You're going to be going through her phones, text messages, emails, like you said, and you're going to be pushing that back. So yeah, there's a lot of information that they're getting, and let's face it, when it was hot or when they were there, you weren't getting that information back immediately. So now they have the time, which is one of the benefits of again, not saying that this is a cold case, but now you have the benefit of sitting back and going through, rifling through this stuff, feeding through this information.
And you're going to also, when you quote unquote look at someone's phone or subpoena their phone, we do we clone the phone. So we have a forensic image of everything on that phone that we have access to, or everything on the phone as we have it. Then we have a working copy, and the working copy is what the agents and detectives will be going through to try to find stuff. There's also the whole issue of encrypted apps. They're going to be paying very close attention to everything that happened on that, what was it, January 11th, when they had that first recon mission with the guy out in front without so January 11th, January 10th, the week before that, they're going to treat that day almost like it's the day of the crime, because they're going to start looking at that time stamp in the same way that they were looking at the day she went missing. Don't you think, Dan?
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry, guys, I'm trying to take care of some technical issues here.
All right.
Imagine that.
No, but Tim, once you're looking at all that stuff, and one of the most important things to look at when you're looking at that is the stuff that's deleted. And then you're asking yourself in each instance, why would he delete this? Or why would this person, or who is this person that's reaching out to him that there isn't much information here other than a quick question or something along those lines? And every one of those people have to be identified. And if the IP address is bouncing around the world, then they have to dig into that going all the way back. And so there's a lot of information. They're probably all also with that Hawthorne guy, Kaeya, they're also looking at him to really dig deep and find if there's any connection between him and any of the players, and or especially the victim, Nancy.
Well,
So
right,
there's a lot going on.
right, like you said, they're going to be searching them phones, A and T's phone especially, for deleted emails, deleted text messages, apps that don't show up on the phone initially. So yeah, I agree with you. And like you had mentioned, all that stuff. This goes back to what we had mentioned on a couple previous shows. Is you develop information, now you got to send legal process to these other companies. So whether it's a subpoena or a search warrant, a grand jury subpoena, one email may develop three more emails may develop six more emails.
Right.
You know, same thing with the text messages and phone numbers. So you may have started out with three phone numbers. By the time 100 days, 120 days that we're at now, You may
Spider
have
web.
300, right, you may have 300 numbers you're going through or 300 text
Right.
messages, you know?
And you see that a lot in narcotics investigations, as we
Yes.
all know, or any of the, I mean, we used to see it all the time. Then they drop a phone and pick up another phone, and
Yep.
these could all be burner phones that they're using. There could be a whole other series of burner phones. So you're going to look at the connectivity of similar numbers using a different platform, so to speak. It's arduous work, but it's very, very interesting puzzle work. Like if you like all these games people play where it really challenges your mind or whatever, you should try doing a case where people are dropping phones, picking up new ones. And the Bureau is really good at this. DEA is really good at this too. I mean, DEA is outstanding because narcotics is what they do. And that's really where I learned a lot of this stuff initially was through DEA, and also working wiretaps with the FBI. It's just super duper interesting, hard work, but it's great. And how about, guys, the difference between like an administrative subpoena versus what you mentioned, Tim, a grand jury subpoena? There's a whole spectrum of subpoenas, and whatever one you send, like if it's an administrative subpoena, it goes to the legal office of whatever entity you're trying to subpoena. And if it's an administrative one, it's at the bottom of the heap. If it's a grand
Right.
jury one, it's at the top of the heap.
Right.
So you're working with those timelines too, and it's quite an interesting ball of wax, wouldn't you say?
Oh, I totally agree. And a lot of times we would end up typing a search warrant because to get that information back faster. So
Right.
instead of doing the grand jury subpoena, you do the search warrant to get that information back faster.
And that goes to the very top of the pile,
Yes, absolutely. Yes.
for sure. How you doing there,
Um,
Dan?
And then let's not forget that we're getting there. The old technical Danny here. We let's not
What's the
forget
no
that.
in techno?
Them and you know this whenever.
No in techno.
Oh no, techno exactly. Um, you'd wonder how I did as well as I did with homicide work. Thank God I could figure something out, but can't figure out this stuff. But anyway, remember Tim, and I wanted to bring up since you guys were talking about when you get the different texts and the different lines, who do you know, and you get your muds and tolls and all of that on subscriber information. Then you have to get in the car and you need to go find these people.
Yeah.
And then once you try to find them, and sometimes it's very difficult to do. And then when you do find them, you have to do the interview. Again, you have to talk to the people. And it just becomes a real tangled web.
Well, it's very right,
Of
Danny. It's very
just a
tedious.
lot
Maureen, you
to
know,
it.
it's very slow, arduous, tedious work, and the tracking somebody down to interview is you may go by their house. No, they're at work. They won't be home till 5 o'clock. All right. Well, I get off at 5 o'clock. Hey, boss, can I have overtime because I got to interview this person? Hey, who's working the night shift? Can no, because we're doing follow up on the night shift from a couple days ago. We developed a lead or stuff like that. So again, this goes back to what I've been saying: manpower, manpower, manpower. It's
And money, money, money.
yeah, and Maureen, you know this with you guys in the federal system have some of the best analysts around. Where CPD, we didn't have the benefit of having the analysts. We were the analysts. You're doing the analysis work yourself. So if you were good with on the computer and running stuff, if you were the guy in the area that was the person that
Yeah.
could run stuff and look through stuff, you may be getting pounded by other guys. Say, hey, can you help me with this? Can you do this? Can you run this? It's like, man, I got my own stuff I got to run. And it wasn't until
Yeah.
our last couple of years in the area that CPD started hiring analysts and stuff. But back in the day, we were the ones doing it.
Tim, go back, and Dan, go back
Yep.
to the time when when we were first using computers for all
Yeah.
this kind of stuff. You remember, just to your point, Tim, there was one or two guys that really knew what they were doing, and boy, did they get hammered, and rightfully so. I mean, we needed it. It was great. What do you think's going to happen now with AI?
Oh,
I
my
think
God.
we're going to see unbelievable,
Hey,
massive
Maureen.
changes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Hey, Maureen, just
Yeah,
for the record, Tim was one of those guys. Oh yeah. Tim
I
was one
believe
of
it.
those guys, that technical stuff with the computer and all that. He was a genius. And a lot of people would hate Tim. Now I'm getting that.
Got feedback coming in there.
I don't
Hey,
know what's
Dan, you got to
happening
have
here.
your producer turn off his,
Yeah, I know.
okay. All right,
Yeah, sorry,
so
everybody.
that's going to
Yeah.
be, that's going to be unbelievable to witness. It will be
Oh, yeah.
unrecognizable, I think, within a
Yeah.
year.
Yeah, I agree. Well, again,
Yeah.
Maureen, you just brought this up, and Danny, you know this. Do you remember when we first made detective, and being told, hey, we got this new thing that's called CODIS. Do you know what CODIS is? And they're like, no, what's CODIS? And they're like, oh yeah, you can clear your cases with the DNA. I mean, let's face it, DNA didn't become available until the early '90s. I mean, late '80s, early '90s. I mean, it's
Yeah.
so working our first few early cases as hot detectives doing the scene, the first 48 type detective work. They're like, I remember the we didn't have evidence coordinators back then either. They're the supervisor telling you, yeah, you got to make sure you send it to the state police so that they can put it in the CODIS. And it's like, what's CODIS? So yeah, it's
Right.
What a
the
game changer
evolution.
that was.
Oh
And
yeah, that's
for
what
the
I'm saying.
viewers out there,
The evolution of detective work was.
for
What, Dan?
Dan?
for the viewers out there, Tim and I made detective in Tim and I made detective in 2000. So that kind of gives you a time frame of when we came out, and the talk was, what about this CODIS thing? And man, DNA has come so far from
But the
back
ability
then. Oh
now,
my gosh.
the horizon that we're looking at now, the interoperability of systems, the way that we're going to be able to find out if this person was here at the same time, because imagine how long it takes to figure out where this phone was, what was happening with the phone, was this person with that phone, was that, all that stuff is going to be like rapid. It's going to be
Oh yeah,
outstanding.
Hmm.
yeah. Danny, you brought it up. One of the
Yeah, it
things I
almost
want.
make
Go ahead, Dan.
no, go ahead. I'm cutting in and out.
No, one of the things I wanted to bring up, you had touched on it, was with the cases and the DNA is. Do you remember we were already working cold cases? Do you remember when the forensics people told us, oh yeah, we have touch DNA now? We're like, oh, what's touch DNA? They're like, oh yeah, you touched. I mean, Maureen, you were doing that at the bureau with your ERT stuff.
Well,
Is
first time I really saw a great example of that was with the MVAC machine in 2016. That's the year I retired. But MVAC came out, and they had this machine where they pretty much suck everything off a porous surface. So you know how hard it is to get
oh yeah,
it's really hard to get things off like a rock. Let's just say a rock because it's porous and you can all understand that. Boy, this MVAC is just outstanding, and what they can do, and the people that run the company are so nice, and they've just been involved in some of the most high-profile cases we have right now, and they do a fantastic job. And then I saw them also with a group of retired agents I worked with at a company called XG, which is all retired FBI agents, police officers, detectives, and military people out here in LA. And we did a whole bunch of projects together and had a lot of fun. But that MVAC is really something to behold. I'd be shocked if the bureau doesn't have their own MVAC at their lab. I'm sure they must. But it's super cool to watch, and we should probably have the MVAC guys on just to talk about it and do a demonstration. It's pretty awesome. It's pretty cool to see.
we'll have to do that when our techno guy gets
Yeah,
more techno.
Yeah.
I think that would be
No.
awesome.
What,
What,
well, if
Danny?
you, if you're so tech,
So for the
no,
viewers, I actually have, so for the viewers, I actually have a guy sitting next to me that is a tech guy, and we are still having technical problems. So it's not just me.
I know, it's all
But
good.
I don't, yeah, I don't know if it's something with our connection. I don't know, but I think the viewers are saying we're coming across well, so it might just be right here on my end. I don't know.
Here's someone on the thing about
But
MVAC.
I'm telling you, we're gonna get through this.
Yes. Salty Sleuth is saying MVAC on the front door mat. I'd love that. You and me both, Salty Sleuth. That's exactly
Yeah.
right. Plus Harrison.
There,
Ford.
how about on all the tile? What about on
Oh,
all
yeah.
the tiles in that? Because as that porch clown was walking with that bite light in his mouth, or some people think it's a female, I don't, but
I don't.
as he's
The
walking
torso's
with the
too
bite
long.
light in his mouth and he's looking down, there's no way you could do that and not leak saliva.
And if you
Nope.
guys don't believe us,
I-
put a flashlight in your mouth and try
Mhm.
walking around the house for 20 minutes, especially if this guy had the, bite light in longer.
Yeah.
You'll see your mouth, it just
Yeah.
makes your mouth water. And we've had to do that with flashlights in our mouth, doing different types of police work. So it's we know that it doesn't feel good. Is this a question for me from Karen Cardwell? Let's chip in and get Maureen and MVAC. Oh, that would be fun. That would be a lot of fun. Well, we'd have to get the mat first, and I'm not saying anybody go out and get the mat because we don't have the mat, so we can't do anything with it. We're hearing reporting that Savannah has hired a private company, and that company is headed by an retired FBI person, and she spent quite a deal of money on that. I that hasn't been confirmed, but I've heard it in several reliable entities. What I will say is that I know from Megan Kelly that Savannah has a security company. That security company could be owned by an FBI person, and they may also have the capabilities to have people like me who are on ERT for a long time, and other great people that work in labs and stuff like that. So she may have spent $500,000 on all kinds of different things, including some of it having to do with forensic work. Either way, I think it would be a great idea, and I wish her well. And I hope, I look forward to whatever they come up with or whatever they come out with.
Yeah,
Which,
I agree.
again,
It's the
goes
bottom
back-
line is let's get this let's get this case solved. And it doesn't matter egos who does it. Just get it done, right, guys?
Get her done.
Absolutely.
Get her done.
I mean, again, this goes back to wouldn't it have been more prudent to put a $500 security system, alarm system, camera system in your mom's house, your 84-year-old mom. Now you're going to pay $500,000 on the back end to investigate her disappearance. I mean,
Right.
it's.
Well,
She's gone.
I mean, it's.
I hopefully everyone on here today, and thanks everyone for tuning in and listening. We really appreciate you. We really appreciate you coming and hanging with us for a little bit. But I hopefully we all have a place that we feel really safe and that we don't have to worry about security so much. And I think that this place in Tucson was that place for that whole family, and their mom certainly felt safe enough there, I guess. But she also felt unsafe enough to get these cameras in the first place, so we don't know what prompted that. I don't begrudge Savannah at all for or whoever put in these cameras initially, but I do think it's a lesson to the rest of us to follow up and get those subscriptions and get your alerts set up properly and stuff like that. But Dan, I wanted to touch on something and blow back a little bit on something you said on a previous episode where you were saying that Savannah's brother blamed her and you didn't know why. I wouldn't exactly say he blamed her. I don't want to say that about him and I don't, but I know she was very upset about it. And it was during that Hoda interview where she asked her brother, "Do you think this has anything to do with me and me bringing her on my show?" And he said, "Yes, sweetie, I think it might," or something, or "I think it does." I don't really think that's him blaming her. I would say it's more whoever the producer was and whoever the general counsel is for the Today Show, who just keeps pushing all this private stuff to come out. Like Megan Kelly was saying that on one of her shows, they were trying to get her to bring her kids out and her, parade her kids out on. Everyone thinks that's such a great idea. I don't think that's a great idea at all. You don't hear us talking about our families or our kids because we've seen that it can just really be a bad idea.
Yeah, and while we're talking about Cameron, I've expressed in many of the comments where I wanted to clear the air. I have no suspicion whatsoever of Cameron, and I have
Nor do
nothing
I.
but respect for him
Me too.
and his service to our country. I was just because we weren't. If you're not present for the comment, you don't know what's the tone. You don't know what is the context. You don't know how really he responded to Savannah.
That's
Was
a
it,
very good point.
yeah, I mean, if none of us were there and none of the viewers were there, all you can go by is what Savannah said. But again, I just thought it was kind of weird that maybe he knew something that that was going on with her as far as like a creep talking crap to her. I don't know. But a lot of people got on me about that, but I cleared that all up. Absolutely, I had no suspicion of Cameron whatsoever.
And I wasn't
Nothing
saying
but
you did because I
respect
know
for
you
him.
don't, because we've had, talks online, offline, et cetera.
Yeah,
I was just I don't want people to think that, he came right out and said it's your fault. He just was, I don't know. You're right. We don't know what the information even that Cameron was fed, because all the information had to come from the house. All the information had to come from whoever was talking to the police, or the family.
hmm,
Um, I just found a couple of nuggets of information from the 911 calls that were released the other day, uh, um, that were just uh, very interesting to me. And one was the timeline. The timeline, uh, Chris McDonough on the Interview Room, he's done a real good job with the timeline. He always does. And he has a better timeline, I think, than anybody else when it comes down to who did what when. And
yeah,
his timeline is looking more and more tight, and one that seems to be right in the ballpark. He's done a great job with that.
yeah, he has. I mean, everybody knows my opinion with Chris and Karen and the rest of the crew. I nothing but respect for them, and I think that I agree with you that Chris has done a wonderful job with that whole timeline. He knows it back and forth, really well.
And he does what I always called dropping the dominoes. That's how my mind works. When I hear a new bit of information, I try to drop the dominoes tile by tile all the way down to a logical conclusion. And what I
Hmm.
think Chris does is he will stop at each domino tile and look all the way around and try to notice everything, which I think is a really good practice when you're trying to figure out a case, because sometimes you can say, "Oh yeah, um, I just heard this, so I'm jumping to that conclusion," where you kind of have to walk all the way down that lane and see
Yeah,
how things fit as you're going down that lane.
yeah. As a matter of fact, Chris, I know they're at the Crime Con in Vegas right
Vegas.
now.
Yep.
Yeah, and I know that he's going to make an appearance on our show in the very near future. I actually had a conversation with him, and we'll have him on and we'll be able to discuss a little bit more through his opinions and his eyes. So I look forward to that.
I've gotten a lot of texts from CrimeCon already. I was at the first two, and man, did we have fun.
Hey, Maureen, I just want to, so Sarah Kelly on the chat thing threw out there, if the private investigator finds evidence at the house when they're redoing the investigation, she says, does he or she have to report it? Danny, you know what big issue this was, because we've had cases in the past where a family of on some of our cold cases where families hired private investigators, and it's it's very complicated to. Fortunately, on our cases, none of the stuff that the private investigator had, conflicted with ours. It was just re-interviewing people, doing witness interviews and stuff.
Right.
But if in the event, Maureen, you could probably address this a little bit more on with the ERT side, is how much more complicated is that going to be getting in if the private investigator finds some evidence at the house that the forensics guys missed.
We never really dealt with that I know of. And not only that, but oftentimes when we get called for the evidence response team, we don't even know what happens with the case for the majority of
Right.
time, unless you know who the case agent is, because sometimes, our team is on call. We may be going to a whole nother section of the state to work on something. We've gone up to Alaska before, because in Los Angeles, we're part of the RDT program, which was the Rapid Deployment Team, and we were responsible for one quadrant, or pretty close to a quadrant of the world. So, we've been to Alaska, we've been to bomb scenes, we really never, the only time I really ever dealt with a PI was when we were executing a search warrant on Anthony Pelicano's office in Beverly Hills, which was a real eye-opening case. It was very, very interesting and pretty crazy. I'm being told by someone that Nancy said the only reason she put those cameras out was because she wanted to check out wildlife. So she wasn't worried about her security at all.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Which is what we do in our
You know-
safe spaces, right? We want to
Yeah.
look at the wildlife.
Yeah.
So I never really dealt with that,
in a-
Tim, but you guys did.
Okay.
So let's hear what your experience.
Go
Yeah,
ahead,
ours
Tim.
was just the PI would go back and redo interviews. What Danny had mentioned previous, in not only this episode but previous interviews, is it's witness interview, witness interview, witness interview, interview. Is I'm hoping that the detectives in the sheriff's office have good interviewing skills, because if they don't, it's going to be an uphill battle to basically to clear the case, so to speak. Is if you can't talk to somebody while you're sitting in a room. The fortunate thing for me and Danny is we could bounce off one another in an interview room. I could tell you what Danny was his next question was gonna be, and then he could do the same thing for me. I mean, like when we would go in a room to do Miranda rights, Danny would lead it, and we go right into the next question. I mean, it's, but again, that takes years of experience. I've seen guys go in a room with they got the Miranda card and they're fumbling over stuff, and it's like, you don't
Yeah.
think that offender sees that? They absolutely do see that, and it's
Yeah, we used to tell the young guys that you got to memorize it, because when you start reading from a card, that scares the crap out of them. And as soon as you get done and they're like, "Do you understand your rights? Do you wish to speak to me?" And next thing you know, they're, yeah, I want a
Cleared up.
lawyer.
Yeah.
They scare them to death. Instead of, it's just,
Yeah.
you have to advise them, but then you go into a smooth transition
yeah. I
in
mean,
the talking.
you sit in that room and talk to the guy. You break the ice. Hey, how you like baseball? You like football? What'd you do? Did you play football when you were a kid?
Right.
Stuff
Find
like
some
that,
common
man.
ground.
Yeah, you get them.
Yeah,
You get them
exactly.
talking. Which as you get them talking, to veer off of this case a little bit, But as you get them talking, Danny, you know this. How many times did we say, "Hey, you know what? We just happened to be interviewing your girlfriend, and your girlfriend said that you know you got a friend named Jimmy that drives a black Ford. You know, guess what car was used in the to dump the body? A black Ford. So I mean,
Right.
you you can use the deception techniques to push them a little bit to get them moving, and it's a lot of times that stuff works.
Yeah.
It's
Right. But you have to be careful too, because
mhm.
if you use a lot
Yep.
of deception, I always used to like
We
to throw it out hypothetically instead
yeah.
of like making it fact, because when you get to the stand at trial, they're going to try to make you out to be the biggest liar out there.
Yep.
So I always
Yep.
tried to steer away from that. But yeah, it's an interrogation tactic. Um, Go ahead, Tim.
No, I was just, I mean, I think the big thing that this on this is happening now is, and Maureen, we've said this before, is they're re-examining everything from the beginning. So they're re-examining the evidence. They're checking stuff that's been worked up to see if they got lab results back. Stuff that don't have lab results, you know, they're pounding the private lab and the FBI labs. All right, how much longer? I mean, let's face it, that's what I would be doing. I'd be calling the shit out of them every day. You know, pardon the language, but I'd be bugging the crap out of them every
Hmm.
day. Well, I need it
Yeah.
because this thing will lead to three more things that you got to get worked up. And I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm not saying that this case is, again, it's not even cold, but how much difficulties are they having getting stuff worked up process wise? You know, did they write them a blank check? Is the FBI say, hey, we'll process this? Because let's face it, on a lot of these cases, it involves um, a lot of money. I mean,
In
for
the budget, if when you look at a
mhm.
budget for a police department, everybody's down, guys and gals. Everybody's down manpower. All the DNA testing that they have to do, all the rape kits that they just went through with all that grant money over the last
Yep,
several years, trying to get all those rape kits done. These are
right back up.
huge initiatives that cost a ton of money. And now you're going to be, Pima County paid $200,000 for that first bit of evidence they sent to that Florida lab. The Bureau would have done that, you know, for free for them.
Right. You know,
So,
like
and
Maureen,
plus all the overtime. Sorry.
yeah, Maureen, you hit it on the head. I mean, Pima County's not that big a department. Is you know, same thing with CPD. You get a heater case, you could blow through half your department's budget, or you know, on the police department wise, just working one case up. All right, now
Look
where's
what
the work?
happened with
Where,
Jesse Smollett or Juicy
yeah.
Smoulier. I
Mm-hmm.
mean,
Yeah.
that the amount of manpower that blew,
Yep.
and when you and you know what was it, 40 below zero or something that night?
Right. And that was one of the reasons why CPD is part of the plea agreement. When they wanted the reimbursement, they wanted the money back for the detectives, and they wanted money back processing evidence. I mean,
Yeah.
it's
And they should have
huge.
gotten it, yeah.
Uh-huh.
So all these considerations
Uh,
are happening, but I'm with you guys. I think a lot of things are happening. I think they probably have a real good idea who they're looking at. But sometimes, and we know this, that they're going to have whoever the defendant or defendants are in this investigation, they're going to have the best legal minds on earth working for
Yeah.
them. And when that happens, some things are going to get tossed out inevitably. So you have to make sure you have an ironclad case that can go against the greatest legal minds. Not easy.
no, it's
No.
not.
They were very careful.
Yeah. And that's one of the things you're going to see on this case is um, the the attorneys are going to beat up some of the investigators and the detectives and the administration from the sheriff's office. Again, it's all about throwing shit on the wall to see what sticks in front of a jury.
Right.
Yeah. Hey, Maureen,
Yep.
the whoever you were talking to about the cameras, so
Yeah.
those cameras were installed exclusively just to watch wildlife? And did
Yes.
she ever, do you know, did she ever have a subscription for it?
No, we don't know that.
We don't know. Because if she did, I would like to know when that subscription was terminated or just, let go. That would be interesting to me.
Hmm.
Yeah, and who was paying the bill for it too.
Well, why
Hey,
wouldn't,
OC girl wants to know what the big breaking news is. OC girl, you're gonna have to sit and wait a little bit.
Yeah,
Appreciate,
2
we're
minutes?
getting there.
appreciate you listening though,
We are
OC
getting
girl.
there.
Hey,
Um,
um,
yeah,
can the producer take his square off the page or no? Well, if he can hear me, he can
I
try,
don't
but
know.
otherwise, that's fine. Um,
Yeah, I don't.
all right, so, what else do we have on this topic or on, um, other than like, is there anything going on with the house now? I think the house is just locked up. The house is just
Yeah.
locked. We saw them put a bunch of cameras around the perimeter, and those cameras are for observation for her team or people to see exactly what's going on. If there's anyone coming or going from that house, I wouldn't do anything with that house if it were my family. At least not initially. It's going to take a lot of time to um, process this, even though it's been, what, 100 and something days, it's still way too fresh for that family. I wouldn't do anything with that house right now. I wouldn't do it.
No.
I also think, Maureen, I don't know if you know this, is what was the guest house? Was where was Cameron staying at when he was there?
Well, they each had their childhood bedrooms, but my guess, I mean, it depends, probably depended on who came with their family. So if Savannah, we have a little cottage and another little cottage, and we divide them up by who shows up or whatever. So if I show up with my family, I'm going to get the bigger sleeping places than if I showed up by myself. By myself, I could stay in my childhood home, rest, or my childhood bedroom. But if I came with my family, I could expect to get the larger living quarters. So I would, if Savannah came with her whole family, maybe she could use the casita. But if Cameron came with his wife and children, they would get the casita or something along those lines. I don't know.
Because was Cameron in town at the time when this happened?
No, he wasn't. He didn't show up for, I think, like 24 hours
Okay, so he
when
he
he
had a
got the
fly
call.
in as well then. He had a
Yes.
fly in as well.
Yes.
Okay. Do we know if that casita was being rented out at the time?
It was not. But
Okay,
there were
yeah, that's
reports that it was rented out at some point. But I haven't gotten that verified, so I'm not gonna speak to it. But I know they're gonna tell us in the comments.
oh, somebody put in the comments. I just saw that Cameron had a condo or an apartment in Tucson.
Well, that makes sense because he was a fighter pilot and he could get in and out and and Giselle Boss says she agrees what Cameron said. That comment crossed all of our minds. Okay. Um, and then once they came here after she went missing, they all stayed at a resort nearby together. So that would have been Savannah and her brother and Annie and Tommaso, all to stay out of public scrutiny. So they
Okay.
stayed at a beautiful nearby resort for, I want to say, 2 weeks or something. It was a pretty good period of time. And I think Cameron may have gone home first before anyone else did.
Hey, guys, we'll start getting into some of the questions if that's okay with you guys.
Yeah.
Yep, let's do it.
All right. First, we have from Kelly McClellan. What is your opinion on A&T not speaking out publicly, especially knowing some are suspicious of them? Do you think they are advised not to?
Yes, I think they're advised not to. I really was surprised that Tommaso didn't come out and speak for his wife because Annie was obviously broken. You could just see it. It was palpable. You'd think that he would come out and say we had nothing to do with this. We loved her endlessly or anything really. And no, they chose not to talk, which is his right. It's their right. But I did find that interesting. And Savannah did come out over and over, and you could just tell from, in my opinion, Cameron's just not that guy. He's not that guy that's going to get out there. He did go out and do a quick piece, but he's that just doesn't seem to be the
Yeah,
person
I
he
agree.
is. You know.
No. Mm-mm.
What
I
do you
agree.
think, Tim?
No, I agree. I agree with you. I totally agree that maybe in the beginning, um, Tommaso should have came out and said something in the very beginning,
Yeah.
especially when people were saying, "Hey, that it leads to them." But uh, I don't do believe that they've been advised not to make any statements now, and I believe Cameron was. I mean, that's just his military demeanor and whatnot. Um, but I totally believe that they should have made some statement in the very beginning.
Yeah.
Can I address a question here, Dan? Is that
Yeah.
cool?
Yeah,
Ronnie,
absolutely.
Ronnie at 2525 asks, she says, now it just popped up. Hold on.
Let's see if I
It basically talked about the church and her watching the church. You can, if it's on YouTube, you can watch it whenever you want, just like you guys are watching this. My thought with Nancy and her Sunday get together where they watched Savannah's church was always that the ladies would get together and maybe have some sort of brunch item to bring over, and then after the service they would all, have brunch together and mimosas or something along those lines. That's kind of the what I was thinking would happen every Sunday, and that's why it was really so strange for her not to show up. She always showed up. So go ahead with the next question.
somebody just Kima your Kima Rikiria. Sorry, I butchered your name, but she says hi from Kenya. Wow, Kenya.
Don't forget to like and subscribe, guys.
Yes, please. If you like, man, we're gonna get there on this tech stuff, but if you like what we talk about and you like what we're about, please like, subscribe, and please share it so our channel will grow. It doesn't cost you anything. I'm gonna get to the breaking news because a lot of people are wondering about that, and so somebody asked, "What's Maureen's channel?" Want to answer that, Maureen?
Yeah, well, in the
Yeah.
future, this is going to be part of my channel.
Drum roll. Yes.
Yes.
So Tim, Will, and myself, we are honored that Maureen is joining us permanently. So we will put together the shows and talk to you from. So now you'll have not only the experience of Tim, Will, and me, but now you're going to have, on a permanent basis, you're going to have Maureen O'Connell here with us with her 25 years of FBI experience. So we're super excited about it, super stoked, and I'm sure that you guys are going to love this channel now. So
Thanks, guys. I'm liking what I see in the chats. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
I'll still be on Best Case, Worst Case with Jim Clementi, and Jim Clementi will probably be joining us regularly also. So, and some of the guests that we'll have on here, like it won't be all four of us every single week. If we can, we will. But some days it'll just be some of our friends that are guests, and we're hoping to really beef up the channel and get a lot of subscribers and all that kind of stuff. So we're very happy, and these guys are my people from my neighborhood, so it was a good fit when they asked me.
yeah, and it's a lot of mutual respect. I remember the first time I saw you on Fox News, Maureen, and I was very impressed with what you had to say. And just it's wonderful. It's wonderful how God works and actually crossed our paths, and now to be partners
Yeah.
in this journey. So I'm super stoked about it. When you said yes, the three of us, Will, Tim, and I, were ecstatic. Tim,
First, I thought Dan was having a heart attack. He was texting me, "Can you talk? Can you jump on a call right now? Get on a call right now." I'm like, "What is going on? How about it, Tim?"
Oh,
And
it's
then he
fun.
beats
It's
around the
funny.
bush for a few minutes. I'm like,
Yeah,
someone needs to tell me what's happening here.
it's funny because Danny was never the texting guy. Now he's like texting nonstop.
Now he's like a 17-year-old chick that's got a crush on somebody. The way he texts, he's like, "Hello, are you guys there?" But we love it.
Absolutely, absolutely love it. Absolutely love having Maureen on the channel. It's
Thanks,
a
Tim. I
welcome
appreciate
addition
you guys.
and her experience.
You guys are outstanding. I appreciate you and all the work you did, and just the way that I think the one thing we all have in common is how we just will do anything for the victims of these violent crimes. It's just heartbreaking. And, we're all heartbroken about what happened to Nancy, just as we're heartbroken about all the cases that we work throughout our careers. Everything from people getting hacked and all their stuff stolen, all the way to murders. It's just terrible what humans will do to each other. And we all have
Yeah,
that in common, that we want to combat that and put those people away if we can. If there's anything we can do to make that happen, we're happy to do it.
absolutely.
absolutely.
All right,
So that's our big
moving
news,
along
guys.
here. Yeah. So, question is, Dan, who is in charge of Nancy's case, the sheriff or the FBI?
Sheriff.
It's the sheriff is still in charge. The sheriff has the jurisdiction, unless he's come across and told the FBI, you guys handle it from this point forward. But it's still Sheriff Nano's baby,
Yeah, and he'll take credit
right?
for everything, no matter what, I think, right?
Oh,
Well,
absolutely.
I hope,
He's, he's,
I
he's
hope,
going to take
hope
credit
and
for the
pray
positive
both.
things. He's going to take
Yeah,
credit for the positive things. He's not going to take credit for the negative
Right.
issues in this case.
Like, I could easily
yeah,
see
right.
working a case with you guys where, Dan says, "Hey, everybody leave your ego at the door," and everyone leaves their ego at the door. And
Mm-hmm.
you just have to do it. And you can rear your ugly little ego head a little bit here and there, but you should get whack-a-mole when you do that. And we've all seen that happen too, and that's very fun to watch when someone gets
Yeah,
checked.
Absolutely.
yeah, it is.
Yeah, I myself
Especially
have
when
gotten
they're
checked.
showing their ego. Yeah, but
Hmm.
I guess it's hard to check the actual sheriff.
Yeah,
But, you I know I wouldn't have hesitated, but,
no, and I'm
and I know
absolutely
Tim wouldn't
positive
have hesitated.
Tim wouldn't hesitate either.
Nope,
No, Tim
nope.
wouldn't.
Will would be diplomatic initially, but Tim would be more
Yes.
like me.
Yeah.
Will was very diplomatic, but yeah, Tim, I've seen Tim snap on some bosses, and to the point of where the gentle giant here, Big Dan, had to kind of step in and bring cooler heads about. But
It's good.
all right, next question here is Big City Dan. Why would they not put it out that porch guy has a large cyst on side of his nose by the corner of his left eye? It's a facial feature that people would remember seeing on someone.
I've seen all the
I
stuff
never
on that.
caught that.
And in some of the images, you can see that it is, and it could have just been a cyst of some sort that was big that day. But some of the images, I could see it. Most of the images, I couldn't, but I know exactly what you're talking about. And I'm sure that that the powers that be thought about that and looked into it, and would this be a good thing? And I don't know, you know.
That's the other thing too is you guys know that we don't have the advantage of of having seen the case file. We don't have the advantage of seeing what other videos they have. They may have additional videos that they're just choosing not to release to the public. The segment that they release could be the segment that shows the best possible light that they want out there. I don't know. The video's not the best, but I mean, you guys know this. I'm sure they're not releasing everything that they know to us. They just threw an excerpt out there to get, hey, this is. They could have thrown that out there to get the neighbors to pull their cameras. I mean, let's face it. I just heard something maybe 10 days ago that there was a neighbor that was on, within a pathway of the road that said, hey, we were out of town and we just pulled our cameras and we got some footage. So it's.
Speaking of footage, I still find it absolutely shocking that they don't have anyone leaving that neighborhood, which tells me they had to take back roads and side streets, and they had to know that they were on roads without cameras. And maybe they didn't even go that far, because there's just no other excuse. When we, in law enforcement, when we're looking for people, and my experience is far more in narcotics and gangs than it is in homicides, obviously, but we're looking at choke points. We're looking at areas that you have to go through to get access or egress from a certain neighborhood. And it's not rocket science. You can look at on your phone, you can drive around, the neighborhood, a cop that works that beat, that understands all this. There's a whole lot of ways you can do it, but it's what you got to do. And for them not to find anything on all those locations, it's just shocking to me.
Yeah.
What about you guys?
I agree, and obviously we know there's a vehicle involved because
There
the
had to
blood
be.
trail ends at the end of the sidewalk. So the means more than likely common sense is telling you that a vehicle was backed up to the end of that sidewalk to put her into a vehicle. So I mean it's
And we all
but
understand.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead, Dan.
No, I was going to say, early on, I wasn't convinced that she was taken away in a vehicle. And I know there's been some talk about some sort of like a wheelbarrow or something to get her out of there. But I do believe she was taken away in a vehicle. But what I'm getting at is there was a question that popped up earlier. I don't remember from who, but why did they check the septic? Why did they check the septic in the back there? And
Because it
I
was
think
there.
I would, yeah, and I think absolutely. Tim and I handled a case in which a Chicago police officer was beaten by
her
her
grandson,
own
her
grandson,
grandson.
and she was dumped in the manhole, the grease trap in the back of her own home. Okay, so and that wasn't the only case. There's a lot of cases in which people are down in the manholes, or well, in Chicago we didn't deal with septics, but very similar. The grease
Have
traps, the
sewers.
manholes, and oh man, and they. So if I would have known early on that there was a septic back there and it wasn't checked, I would have been pissed. So I was
Right.
very happy to see that they were searching down in that septic.
Right,
And
because
quite honestly, yeah, go ahead, Maureen.
it goes back to a very basic premise. Getting rid of a body is very difficult. Taking it long distances is not easy.
Right.
If you're looking at bodies
Hmm.
dumped on the side of the road, they're almost all within like, I think some crazy number like 89% are within 10 feet of the side of the road because they're very difficult to move. So to have something where you could maybe just, take a hand cart, bring it back to the septic and drop someone in there, that's not a bad scenario to imagine happening to this poor woman.
Yes, yes. Nida, Nida, thank you very much. She would like to know why they don't have more DNA in that house since he was in there for 41 minutes. Care to address that?
I
Well,
have
they may,
no idea.
yeah,
I can tell you from our experience, Tim, is when we handled I bring it up quite often, but it was such a crazy case, but our 5 bodies that were executed in one house. And we figured that the offenders, two offenders in that case, were inside that house for what we say, Tim, 3 to 4 hours.
yeah,
And
yep,
guess how much DNA was pulled out of that house? None.
yep,
No DNA. That was our forensic people, and I can honestly say again, I applaud our forensic guys. They're just guys and gals. They were fantastic at the job they did, but they were limited compared to the level of the FBI, which I'm kind of assuming that's exactly what happened in this case with Nancy Guthrie, is that Pima County handled that scene originally, and they're not even in the same league as the FBI
I will
as
say
far
that
as
as
evidence.
individual techs, they're just as good or better than anybody on an FBI ZRT team. What I think differentiates us from other teams is we're not running from crime scene to crime scene to crime scene to crime scene all day, every shift. And we're
Yes.
not going with 2 people, we're going with 15 or 30 if we need 30. And we're not staying for 2 hours or 6 hours or 12 or whatever. We'll stay for
Yeah.
5 days if need be. So it's a manpower. It goes back to what you were saying, Tim. It's a manpower issue. I don't
yeah,
want to take anything away from those evidence techs because they're out. I know so
No.
many that are outstanding, and they'll do a crime scene by themselves or just with one other person, and so they're doing the best they can do. But there's just something to be said about having 15 or 20 different people, all with different skill sets. We all have our basic skill set. That's a class we went through for several weeks where we get tested and everything. And then we just build from there. And we're big on training, all kinds of training.
Yeah.
yeah. I want to just touch base on something that Danny had said. Is so on our one of the big cases that we had the 5 people murdered in the house. They were in there for 3 hours. Keep in mind, they were tearing TVs off the wall, taking TVs to pawn shops. So for 3 hours being in the house and not having any DNA recovered is absolutely huge. They popped doors off of safes that were in there. Ransacked the bedroom. So yeah, it is.
Yeah.
And we held that scene. We held that scene for I think it was a week to 10 days. So we had
Yeah, at least a week, maybe 2 weeks.
yeah. So
Yeah.
I mean, it's and again we don't know what kind of other DNA that they have on this case with Nancy Guthrie. They could have additional stuff that we're just not privy to.
Yeah,
So
I
you
can
guys in
only
that
pray.
quadruple homicide had hats and gloves and everything on also?
Oh yeah,
That it was a quintuple 5.
Oh,
And we think one of the offenders is involved in the Lane Bryant murders out in Tinley Park, the southern suburb of Chicago.
that's a
But
crazy cold
yeah,
case.
yes, it is.
well, no, we solved it right after, not long after it happened, but we solved
No,
it
she
by,
she means the Lane Bryant case.
oh yes,
Yeah,
yes, and man, I feel so bad for especially the surviving victim in that. I guess not good, but the yeah, I know I could speak for Tim. We believe that one of our offenders was really good for that case. Same thing, very careful, very meticulous about leaving evidence behind, and that's exactly what happened in Lane Bryant. There's a lot of factors that came into play on that, and I've actually done videos on that early on with our channel. But yeah, it's something. And somebody asked, was it the case on California on the south side? No, that's another 5 body. That was, I believe, narco related.
yes.
Our case was at 7607 South Rhodes. south side of Chicago, and you can all Google it, look it up. It's very interesting, and 5 victims that were just they were good kids, man. And these bad guys thought they had money, because they were flashy. And man, just what a sad story for the families of them 5.
What people will do for money, and not a lot of money either. You don't have to
The
offer
ru-
someone, $100,000 to do something terrible.
Oh no, we've seen. How about it, Tim? In Chicago, they'll do it for $5.
Yeah.
They'll do it for $5. They will do something to somebody. It's
Well,
it's disgusting.
there's a case that we'll get into down the road in another episode, but there was a case in the city of Chicago in the South Side area too, with a grandfather that his grandson killed him at the behest of the grandmother over his lottery ticket. So it's very
Yes.
it's very bizarre. I mean,
How much was on that
Yeah.
lottery ticket? What was the
it was
winning?
$1 million. I think it was $1 million lottery ticket. It
Wow.
was up there significant in price. But I mean, here's your
Yeah.
grandson
Yeah.
kills your grandfather at the behest of the grandmother. So yeah,
It's very sad because I mean, the Bible says money is the root of all evil, and indeed it is. And just to see some of the stuff people do, I mean, for like I said, we've seen it for chump change,
yeah.
Yeah.
and
You seen it for a
it's
pair of
like,
shoes.
oh my, yeah,
Oh, yeah.
yes, for a pair of shoes. You're very right, Tim.
Or a
It's
Canadian
like,
goose jacket.
No, seen that too.
oh, the goose downs.
Yep.
Yes, there was a lot of that was going on, and it's like, come on, people, we're better than that. Come on.
Right.
But anyway, our next question is Lisa Klein. Coming from a paramedic of 15 years, thank you for your service, Lisa. I couldn't agree more with you on how difficult it is to move a body, Maureen. That's what we use firemen for.
Lift
You all are the
assist,
best.
call in for a lift assist, yeah.
Yeah. Uh, you all are the best. Excited for Maureen to be on, and so are
What
we.
was her name?
Lisa Klein. Thanks, Lisa.
Hey,
Appreciate
Lisa,
that.
thank you. My sister and brother are career paramedics also for the city of Chicago. So I know
Yes.
how hard that job is. Well, I don't know how hard, but I've
Oh,
been told my whole life.
oh, it's there's this ongoing joke feud between fire and police. We get at each other. We say they go to work with a pillow and we go to work with a gun.
Yeah.
But the bottom line is, I know we love each other, and we're there. Speaking of when we were working, we're there to back them up. And I mean, some of these paramedics will go into some of these neighborhoods, and they're getting shot at. It's like, wait a minute, they're there to
Getting their
help
ambulance
you.
flipped over.
Yeah.
Yes. People are shooting at them. People are hitting them with baseball bats. It's like, are you kidding me? They're there to help someone in your community.
They go into
Oh,
a house on a call for see a man about a heart attack, and they go in and it's a gunshot victim with a bunch of the gangster shooters
yep.
standing around, and you just find yourself in the middle of on the biggest hot seat of your life.
Yeah.
And they're not spending too much time on their pillow, those paramedics in the city of Chicago.
No. Heck no.
Anywhere,
And
actually.
that's why I prefaced it when it was a running joke for the
Yeah.
longest. But no, nothing but respect for the Chicago fire paramedics, all of that. They do go
And you're all
without
on
a
the same
doubt.
team.
And I got to tell you, as far as a fireman goes, I always said I'll chase a guy with a gun inside the house anytime, but I'm not crawling up on that gable and cutting a hole in the dead of winter. I'm just not doing it. So
That
I really do applaud them for the job that they do, no doubt.
That's the reason why the fire department doesn't ever let those paramedics be the cook at the firehouse, because they would never eat.
right.
Yeah, because they're
And there's an
constantly
old
on the go.
Yeah, because they're
there's
never
an
there.
old firehouse saying that says, when the rats run out, the firemen run in.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, yeah. No, they truly are heroes for sure. They are, no doubt about
Yeah,
it.
but the police are heroes too. So let's just call it
Yes,
what it
we
is,
are.
right? Yeah.
Yes, we are. It's what I say, one hand rubs the other, washes the other, it's all good. We love our fire and paramedics. Next question is from Mac, and Mac says Title III warrant, was it executed? Thank you.
So a Title III is a wiretap, and that requires an affidavit that is chock full of probable cause. We don't know if there was a Title III. We don't know if there was a wiretap in this investigation at all. Would this be the type of investigation that would warrant one? Absolutely. Can one lead to 3 or 5? Yes, yes, it can, and it often does. But we have no information one way or the other if a Title III was put into effect on this investigation.
Yeah,
That's why I want someone in custody so that we can listen to the
find out,
trial. This trial, we'll have to go there for this trial.
right? Right, because to piggyback off what you're saying, Maureen, yeah, from the very beginning, there's so much that we don't know, and there's so much that we should not know
Right.
from an investigative point of view. There's a lot that I'm sure, well, at least I hope that they had a lot that they did not share with the public, and we shouldn't expect them to share everything. Like I said early on in this thing, early I spoke on that you they're only obligated, and not even obligated, but the sheriff in this case would only allow certain things out there that would benefit the investigation, that where the community could help. Other than that, go scratch. He don't have to tell you nothing. And
Absolutely.
I like I said, I pray that they do have a lot more. I'm a little bit discouraged,
Well,
if that's all they do have is the half of a head hair.
Half of a
And
head
somebody,
hair. Yeah, a rootless
well, I mean,
hair.
yeah, I mean, you
you
know,
you got you guys know this
somebody
from.
made mention about,
You there, Dan?
go ahead,
But
Ted.
what, Dan?
No, I said
Yeah,
you
go
guys
ahead.
you guys know this from working these type of cases. Usually there's small tidbits that would be leaked out. But in this situation, since there's like nothing being leaked out, there's a couple ways you could look at it. One way is that they don't have anything, or two, the secondary way is they have such a tight lid and such a tight grouping on this case that which is the way it should be. That's the way we always liked our cases. It always annoyed me when you'd be working on something, and next thing you know, you see a tidbit released in the news media,
Yeah.
and it's like, how the hell did that get out? And again, it's usually another detective reaching out to somebody, or a boss, or a public information person. Well, yeah, I got to put. I mean, how many times, Dan, have we went on a job, and next thing you know, there's a picture of the gun on the crime scene photos. It's like, who put that out there? How'd that get out there? It's like, oh, the news affairs guy came on the scene
Right,
and took a picture. It's like, why?
right. Yeah,
So,
but
I
I
mean,
at the same time on them police shootings, we kind of got it as
oh
time
yeah, I
went
mean,
on.
it's
Initially, it was like, why are they putting these pictures out? But I get it for the community because
right.
when a policeman shoots and usually kills somebody or they're severely hurt, there's outrage. So you want to get that outright, boom, there's the picture, there is the bad guy's gun. I did start to get that and
Yeah.
understand it as time went on.
Yeah, before the city burns down, right.
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
But I also think they could just be waiting for a new development. And by that, I mean, they may have someone that they think might be willing to talk, but they need to take some time with it and maybe nudge him in one direction or the other. And I don't know. I mean, um, I just know that they're going to need a lot of evidence to convict
Oh
anyone
yeah.
of this. And you only have one shot of
Yep.
trying to convict someone of murder.
Right. Here's from a question from, it looks like WV, maybe West Virginia Brood. Do you think it's correlated with the desensitization? Desensitization. I have a hard time with this word. Desensitization.
Yeah, desensitized.
Desensitization of violence due to the amount of violence exposure online. It's normalized and moral compass. You guys want to speak on that? I think what that question's getting at is I find a lot of issue with the video games that the kids play nowadays, as far as getting desensitized. A lot of the these video games, I've seen my own kids play them. Thank God that they never got crazy with them. But some of these video games, I think you just take for granted life. That you could just walk up to some.
Yeah.
Yeah, you would just walk up and shoot them, and then you just drive away, and then you see the car, the person take off again in the car or whatever. They come back to life, and it's like that's not good. I've called that a long time ago, that I didn't think the video games were a good idea. So I think that's what the question's referring to. Or all the stuff that they see in the news and everything, which, yeah. And I think that's because now with social media, you see a whole lot more with social media than you did, 20 years ago. You didn't
yeah.
see much unless it was on the major news.
Right.
So,
Yeah, now it's 24-hour news cycles are updated every 5 minutes, so it's
Right.
yeah. Yeah. And now you're starting to see footage from body worn cameras by the police, which for the first time in human history, people are actually able to see through the eyes of the policeman what's happening in any given situation. And
Eye opener.
it's an eye opener. And I think that, so yeah, the answer to the question is maybe people are getting desensitized. It's
I
unfortunate.
think everyone's desensitized at this point.
Yeah. Thornbridge X Unfiltered asks, is it normal for all warrants and 911 calls to be sealed when both detainees and family is cleared? Care to talk on that?
Tim?
yeah. On these type of cases, absolutely. I mean, so they're sealed from being released right now for investigative purposes, but there are avenues and ways you can pull up some of the radio dispatch calls. There's a podcaster that had released some of the dispatch calls, but the 911 calls, yeah, those are absolutely those are great investigative tools for detectives to use for follow up because you'll be going through those 911 calls and there may be something that was missed initially, and you listen to the call and it's like, oh, there's somebody heard gunshots like 3 blocks away. This call was called in and it wasn't, because it was 3 blocks away, it wasn't on the scene. So I mean, we've had plenty of times where those 911 calls are not released, but the radio zone broadcasts, the police talking back and forth, and the police and fire talking back and forth, those you can pull up on different websites, and there is a podcaster that had some of them out someplace. I do remember hearing. I don't remember who the
I'll
the
look
young
her up
lady
to give her
was.
credit.
Yeah,
Yeah. Um,
It's Juanita Adame.
yes, that's
So
Yes,
her name is
Juanita Adame.
Juanita Adame, Adame, and she's the one that
Yeah.
she appeared to put in some work to get
Oh,
get
she
this
did.
stuff.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
she did put in some work for it because
She did.
Danny, it's
Yeah.
laborious going through those radio calls.
Mhm.
So yeah, she did put in
Because
some
you
work.
have so much chatter, like you said,
Right,
you got chatter going, between car to car, and with
right.
fire, there's so much going on. But
So kudos to
uh,
kudos to her for doing that.
Yep.
yeah, for sure, she worked hard on that. Okie dokie, this is kind of a segue into question. Is anyone really cleared prior to solving the case?
No.
No,
My opinion, nope.
no,
That's bullshit,
yeah,
to put it
Yes,
frankly.
as we say on the south side, that's some bullshit, right?
yeah.
That-
No, there's
that's
no
some
way.
bull-
There's no way.
Yeah. No.
Because you don't know
No,
what
I-
unless you have someone dead to rights. And I mean, unless you absolutely know who did it and you're ready to put
Yeah.
handcuffs on them. I
Yeah.
guess you can clear
I-
the other people.
My opinion is Nanos did that just to kind of take some heat off because of, because the family's getting a lot of heat on this. And I think that he did that to try to take the heat off of them. But no way. My opinion, no. Nobody's cleared. Next question. Beacon of Hope. Why do you think they haven't released a 911 call? What could be on there? Thank you all for your time. Honored to listen to such amazing, gifted people. Bless you all. Wow, thank you so much.
Very
You guys
kind.
want to elaborate on that?
There could be
Why
something
why
that's-
isn't the 911 call been released?
it should we don't I mean law enforcement shouldn't have to release anything they don't want to because you just want the integrity of the case to be buttoned up and everything kept close to the vest, but also there could be something on there that's interesting, and that there could be some statement on there, and I'm speaking generally about other cases. There could be something on there that contradicts what their statement was moving forward, and so they don't want to put that out until obviously discovery before trial and then trial. But what are your thoughts, Tim?
I agree. Again, we don't want to put stuff out there that we don't have to. So I agree. I think that was a wise decision to make. We're just not going to release the 911 call. It's plain and simple. I agree with it.
Yeah. Next question. My old friend here, Glenn Levy. Glenn's been with me from the beginning. How extensively do you believe the FBI and Pima County are looking into Nancy's finances? Great question. She has a revocable trust. Would we know as a matter of public information whether they've subpoenaed her docs?
Yes, they would look at everything. That's one thing, someone asked a question earlier in the chat about, are they also looking at all the rental units or the Airbnbs in the area for those nights and the weeks before and other day? Absolutely. Those are things that we just do routinely. And I bet Pima County would be doing those routinely also. Don't you guys think? So yes, the Bureau's going to be looking at all that stuff. We're going to be, and since she's been missing so long, she's presumed dead at this point. So at what point would you guys call this a homicide investigation? When would that line of delineation have happened for you guys?
To me, early on,
Weeks ago.
I said this is a murder.
Yeah, weeks ago it would have been done, but absolutely. And again, Maureen, this goes back to, and Danny, what we were saying before, doing the financials. So you're not only doing financials on Nancy, you're doing financials on T, you're doing financials on A, you're doing financials on even the other brother. So yeah, now that just led to how many more people? So
Right.
And again, you need analysts, and you need somebody to type up the warrants. You need somebody to type up. So it goes on and on and on and on. So you need, again, manpower.
Because the
So-
basic question that you want answered is who benefits? Who
Yep.
benefits from this person dying or being eliminated?
Yeah.
And why,
Four.
and so that's a two-pronged question. It's how much did she have? How much was available? Who was going to get it? And how bad was the need that person benefiting? Like, for example, if, if the three of us are all beneficiaries and we all have 401ks and we all have a pension, except one guy has nothing, he has all kinds of money that's due, and he's broke because he's a gambler, that guy's going to need it probably more than we are. That doesn't mean
Right.
he's greedier than we are, but it's something to look at.
Yes, you have to consider that, absolutely, without a doubt. The Sue Silomos asks, does anyone know the FBI's success rate, Maureen?
Well, in kidnappings,
As
it's
far
way up.
as,
We do a great job.
yeah, as far as
It's
hard
hard.
numbers go, I know it is hard. I
I'm
don't
sure
know
the
exact
stats are
like
good.
numbers, percentages, but it's got to be. Yeah, I'm sure the stats
Yeah.
are good for sure.
Well, because we have, time, manpower, all that stuff, and we don't forget things and we don't let go. We're all like
Yeah.
a bunch of dogs with bones, Malinois with bones. We don't let go.
Yeah, absolutely.
Even when our owners tell us to let go, we don't like letting go.
Right.
Thinking like a police dog.
Yeah.
Just Susie asks, why do you think the sheriff called off the search so fast? The next morning, I believe. Huge mistake. He's owned
Yeah.
up to it.
Yep.
And
I'm not a fan of that, but I do know that they had FLIR technology that first night. I know that they flew over everything and photographed it. All that stuff can be very beneficial because it was right after she disappeared. You'd be able to see if something was disturbed, if the earth was disturbed, especially when you had that heat signature from the FLIR cameras. That's all really good stuff. They say that to physically search that area is just crazy. Like the dogs get their paws torn up, so they
Yeah.
would have to wear those little protective things. And also, with all the cacti everywhere, people get their clothes torn and arms and everything. Maybe, they do a lot of this stuff. They look for people all the time, and maybe this is a better way to do it. I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt on that. But when there are people willing to do a physical search, I don't see why we couldn't let them. But that wasn't my decision to make, obviously.
nope. Nope. Cheryl Rogers. Oh boy. We'll go to Jacqueline Jacobson. Why no FBI sketch of the perp face or picture of perp on billboards?
Yeah,
I
that's a
mean,
good
you don't need
idea.
a sketch, but you
Well,
don't
not so,
really need the sketch
no,
when you have the actual image from the camera of the. That's what you have. You have
right,
a person in a ski mask.
right.
So
I've heard Jennifer Coffindaffer say that over and over, and I think it's a good point, and I think it's something, I think it would have been a good idea. But all the video footage that's been put out, it's so clear to me how this person walked, how they carried themselves. I think part of the problem is he had on two pair of gloves, and the pair of gloves he had on under his nitrile gloves were a lot thicker than it wasn't like two pair of nitrile gloves where you could see the shape of his hands. And that always made me wonder if he was trying to hide the shape of his hands. Like, does he have little girl hands? You know?
yeah,
Or and also it looked like,
I thought the same thing, Maureen.
oh
It,
really?
it's bizarre. It's bizarre the way he puts his hands up to that camera.
I
I'm,
agree.
I like maybe he's hiding a ring, or it's just weird how his hands were.
definitely a ring. Yeah.
It's definitely it's weird how his hands go up or her hands go up to that camera. I'm right along with you on that.
You
It's
So
you
those
know,
gloves look, oh, go ahead.
it's not a normal movement. It's not normal movement.
No,
yeah, it's
it's
very
not a normal
weird.
movement.
The first time I saw that video, I thought he had on boxing gloves. Like
Me
if
too.
you've I
Leather
know
gloves,
when
I
I
thought.
used yeah, when I used to box, we would use these certain kind of gloves when you're hitting the heavy bag
Right.
and the speed bag, and they're not actual boxing gloves, but they're kind of like mittens, sort of leather.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's what I thought. I thought that that's what this person had on, but then then it becomes pretty apparent that it was layered up gloves,
And that's because
layers
the
of
gloves under there were puffier
vinyl.
than you would expect,
Right.
you know? It's almost
Yeah,
like those gloves that you
yeah,
get at Costco that are that kind of like that scuba material. And
Yeah.
yes.
to me that was very strange, and it also looked like he had two pair of pants on, like maybe the jeans were over some thinner sweatpants or something, because there was no
Yeah,
definition. The only definition
right.
you could see was something huge in the front pocket,
Yeah.
which also is weird. I mean, are men's pants, this is an honest question, do men's pants honestly have pockets that are 20 times bigger than women's pockets? Because it looked like he could fit an iPad in that pocket, that
I
big
don't know.
phone or whatever goes so deep.
I never wore women's pants, so I couldn't tell you.
Depends the style that he has on. I mean, the pants. If you do look at those pants, they look kind of different than. Hey
I
Dan,
I can
somebody had
tell
a
you this much: that person in that mask and those clothes is a coward, a weak
Yes,
coward to do what you did. If you're
100%.
watching this right now, to do what you did to that poor 84-year-old lady, you're nothing. You're, ugh.
And a coward is the nicest thing I can think of.
Yeah, I'm trying to be polite here and not cuss, but ugh.
Hey,
Anyway,
hey, Dan, since you were a boxer and Nanos was a boxer,
yeah,
why don't we set up a fight and have it go on in
yeah,
Vegas?
sure,
yeah.
I'll do it.
Could
I'll
do it for
go into
charity.
training tomorrow.
That
He
would be
he'd
fun.
have. I'm 6'4" though, 6'4", 270. I don't know how big Nanos is, but not that size matters. Honestly, it don't.
It's
I
funny,
mean,
I've
look at
never met
Mike
these guys
Tyson.
in person, but I did not know you were 6'4". That's good.
Yeah, I'm 6'4", 270. When I retired, I was 6'4", 350.
Dang.
So, yeah, I was. Whew.
Going to
That's why
Fat
I
Johnny's
became.
hot dogs on the south side
Yeah,
too much or
that's why I
what?
became a painter down here in Florida. So anyway, next question. We got to move along. Cheryl Rogers. Big Dan said Nanos was in charge. How can that be when he's not speaking to the family? It's his office. Whether he may not be speaking to the family, but as far as I know, that is technically Pima County Sheriff's Office investigation. Correct me if I'm wrong, guys.
No, you're right.
No,
You're
you're
right.
right. They
Yeah.
gave a
Hey Danny,
couple of
some
roads to the bureau, like the technical stuff, the phone stuff, all that. He was happy to give us or give the bureau that, which was a really great decision on his part. And yeah, it was a great decision for him to do that. Um, who knows? Maybe he's turned over a little bit more, especially with his guys being on the task force. Some of his
Hmm.
detectives being on the task force.
Yeah.
hey Dan,
Eh,
somebody
Yeah.
had a
Yeah.
comment on her that I wanted to touch base on real quick was Thornbridge, and I don't remember what the rest of the name was about the search warrants. Since there were search warrants that were done, how come the affidavits in the warrant hasn't been released? Well, they're not going to release that information.
No.
That
Because the
absolutely not.
affidavit's going to contain some probable cause that they're not going to
Yes.
want to get out there.
Yes,
And the probable cause is the evidence.
those are more than likely sealed by the court and the judge, whether they were federal warrants or local warrants. They're not releasing that probable cause
Nor
at this
should they.
time.
And the
No,
department, and the department. They're not going to, it's an
exactly.
open
So,
case. They're not going to release
yep,
it.
yep.
Someone just
Thornbridge
asked me a
X
question.
Unfiltered. Go ahead.
No, go ahead, Dan.
Go
I'm going to
ahead.
find this other question.
All right. Thornbridge says, when would the courts typically declare a no body H? Does that make it legally better for legal asset recovery, or is that not enough for assets? I think what he's talking about is in order to get the like if
Insurance
they're a
money for like a death.
beneficiary.
Yeah, no
Right,
body
yeah.
homicide, I think they're saying.
Okay, no, but all right, I see now. All right, it's usually, well, it would be, my understanding, it's like 4 to 5 years before something like, there are cases where it can be expedited. But it's typically 4 to 5 years. But my thoughts were it's not even really the beneficiary of a life insurance policy, but what's the house worth? How much could it be? Is it paid for? Uh, what kind of assets could be liquidated quickly? Kind of petering off of that question. Guys, anything on that? No.
No, I don't know. Tim, you take it because I was looking for this other question.
No, I just think that it's going to be, again, I don't know what the statute is there, but yeah, it's not just a life insurance. It's going to be whatever assets there are available. So it's definitely going to be and again, you'd have to find out what the law is in Arizona for
Yeah.
declaring her deceased.
I think they would be able to do it much more quickly than years based
Oh,
on the
yeah.
current circumstances. I think if they wanted to, they could make that happen very, very quickly right
Right,
now.
right.
Yeah, right.
So the question that
But-
someone was asking me was just about a PI, and we answered that one already.
Yeah. Yeah, we did early on.
Yep.
Well, Dan, you want to take one or two more, and then we'll.
Yeah, and what I'll do is like I did last time for our viewers, there were many more comments as opposed to actual questions last time. I think tonight we're getting more questions. But if there's any that we miss, I will try to either address them in a separate video. I'll do like in the form of a short, or we'll try to get to it next time.
Or maybe
that
Tim will do a short.
Hey, Timmy, you want to do a short?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Or
Tim's
Will,
got a-
Will from the hospital bed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there you
The
go.
reason we didn't want Will on because he's sedated and he's wearing a hospital gown, and none of us, we all saw that could be problematic for
Yeah.
many different reasons.
Yes. Okay.
But say prayers for Will that everything turns out just perfectly for him. He's a good man.
Absolutely. He is a good
Absolutely.
man, really good friend. And Tahiti May says, was wrong house next door is a gem metal guy? I don't get this. What
I
is
do.
it?
The guy
Was-
next door,
was-
Dan, was a gemologist
Yeah.
who had a bunch of stones, and he also didn't he have guitars or something too? But that was all run to ground
Oh.
by the police.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I get it. But no, Nancy was targeted here.
Yeah.
Nancy's targeted. This wasn't somebody that stumbled in on her and then they're going to go through all of that to take her. And
They're not going to take her if she's not who they want.
there's correct. She's the one that they wanted.
So
No doubt
guys,
in
we
my
talked
mind.
earlier about dropping the dominoes tile by tile, et cetera. So let's say you have a situation like this, you two are working this case, and you have the person next door who's a gemologist, and they also have an expensive guitar collection, let's just say hypothetically. What steps do you guys actually take to mitigate that or to take that house off the table for this investigation?
Oh, it's definitely going to be interviews of that person. Hopefully they had cameras. If they didn't have cameras, then you're back into square one. But it's going to be interviews of that person. It's definitely something to keep in mind that maybe it was a wrong target, that they were supposed to be at the house next door. But it's certain things.
Like
in this
I always say it's possible, but not probable.
right.
That's the line I go with quite often. And no, I firmly believe Nancy was targeted.
Yeah.
God,
Like
God
how many
be with her.
houses have you, or how many homicides have you worked where the body was removed from the location like this, A, and B, then you found out it was the wrong house? That brings it to astronomical levels, in my opinion. But
Yeah,
No.
not too many. Probably I can count them on less than two fingers.
I'm trying to remember. I don't remember any scenario like that. Do you
No,
remember something like that, Tim?
no, not so much. I mean, yeah, we've had wrong targets for drive-bys, but
Oh, for
not,
sure.
yeah,
Yeah.
not situation like this is something totally
No.
different. I mean,
This is
um,
what you think about it. You're the burglar. Let's just say you're the burglar. You kick in the door, or you sneak in the window, or sneak through the door, and you go in and you find, first of all, this don't look like the right place, and second of all, you find a little old lady in her bed.
yeah,
You're
you're
just
not
gonna
taking her with you.
go.
Yeah. Okay, let's
No,
take her with us. Yeah,
no,
that's not
Time to
that's
right.
abort
not happening.
mission, you know?
Yeah, exactly. You abort mission
Yeah,
or you eliminate the mission right there. You eliminate the person right there. You're not
Especially if your
take
face is
abort the
covered,
mission.
just get the hell
right,
out.
right. You're not taking her as a souvenir. I mean, yeah,
No.
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 Now, if you're a child predator and the only person home is an 8-year-old, that's
Well,
one
that's
thing.
different. That's
Yeah.
different, right? That's
This
totally
is not what
different.
we're
Oh
talking
yeah.
about here.
Nope. Yeah.
Right. No. No. Elise, praying for Will. Thank you. Thank you very much. Elisa Pettit. Thank you. Uh, Thornbridge X Unfiltered, another one. The reconnaissance a month before would debunk the wrong house. Agree.
Hmm.
If that
100%
reconnaissance
agree.
is in fact connected.
It is connected. It's the same person. It's the exact same person wearing almost the
Yeah.
identical outfit. There's no doubt in my mind that the two are connected. And it's one of the things that to me separates this case from many other cases. Who's going a month before? Unless it's a
Yeah.
stalker situation practically.
Well,
I
it.
think my theory is, you guys tell me what you think. My theory is that person did it to see if that would raise any alarms or cause any red flags, or if that thumbnail image would show up someplace or along those lines. That's what I was thinking.
Well, it's all it. You also hit on it earlier too, Maureen. It's also maybe a practice dry run with taking the canyon roads. Or is he walking through yards to see if motion lights come on or if dogs bark or hey, we could park
Yep.
the car here and how far away we carry her out this way, get and then put her in the car here and go out the canyon road back this way instead of
Did
hitting
I
the main
go
roads.
unnoticed? Were people
Yes.
walking their dogs at
Yeah.
Yep.
1:45 in the morning?
Yep.
Here's another one, a big one. Does anybody call the police on me?
Yep.
Yep.
I'm
Danny, you
walking
hit.
in
Yep.
this neighborhood. Does anybody call the police on me? And obviously, no.
Right. How many
You know,
times have you seen it?
Really good point, Dan.
I mean,
Right. How
that's
many
that's
times
the
have you
way to
seen it
do
in
the
your
dry
own
run.
personal experiences that you?
Hmm.
Right. You see it in your own personal experiences that you see a suspicious person when maybe you're walking your dog at 2 o'clock in the morning. Do you call the police? I know I do. I mean, it's so that's a good point, Dan.
Hmm.
Elizabeth Lanier. Hey, Elizabeth. Does Maureen think the gem guy could be involved?
No, I do not.
No.
I just don't. But I could be wrong. Again, we don't have the
Yeah,
we don't
of
have the murder
course.
book or the file or anything, so we can't, we're just going off of the little information that we have, but the information we
Yeah.
have doesn't take us out of the little neighborhood. It seems like it's, I don't know.
Yeah, no. Again, it's anything's possible, but not probable.
Hmm.
The way you got to look at it from our point of view, you always have to cast that wide web or net and you narrow it down. So anything is possible. But at this point now, NorCal SoGal. Hey, Dana Maureen, would love y'all to check out Sebastian Rogers' case in Tennessee, missing from his home at age 15. Wow. 2 years ago. He's autistic. Wow, even more. I see similarities with the sheriff's office in both. Wow, sorry to hear about that
Did she
one.
say Texas? Did she say Texas,
Tennessee.
Dan? Oh, Tennessee,
That
sorry.
was Tennessee. Yeah. Sebastian Rogers is the victim.
Okay. Yep, I wrote that down. All
Yeah,
right,
we could take a look at it, and again, with people that, viewers that ask us if we're able to look into a certain case without being able to get the actual file, the office file, it's really difficult for us to be able to do anything with it.
especially
Sometimes
if
in
the police
Chicago,
don't know much.
no, we don't. I mean, like Tim and I know we have, sources, and not even really anymore. All our guys have retired on. But, someone you could ask, hey, what's going on with this or that? But it's difficult to be able to investigate something without the file.
So is that it, Dan? Is that our last one?
Uh, the, couple more. Thornbridge, my man. I think it's Thornbridge. I apologize if it's female. Exactly. The reconnaissance and errands the same time in early AM hours feels very much like a targeted hit versus ransom situation. Absolutely.
100%, we agree.
Absolutely. Yep. Uh, no, that's okay. Millie Egbert, can they have a suspect but not enough evidence to arrest? What is the threshold of evidence to arrest evidence? Absolutely. They could have a target. They may know who they're looking at. And Tim and I have had that many times. I mean, so many times where we know who the offender is. We've had the offender up in our office to interrogate the person and had to watch them walk right out the door, and we knew 1,000% they were in fact the offender. That happens all the time.
As for the threshold, that would depend. I mean, this, we're going to be talking about a murder case without a body. That's a totally different animal. You've got to come loaded for bear to court.
Yes.
Right, so they may, I mean, let's say that they do have somebody in mind. That person may be in custody on something else, so they know that they're not going nowhere. Or again, they just don't have enough T's crossed and I's dotted, so they're going to continue build this case up as they go. Maybe they're waiting for some additional DNA to be worked up or whatever. And then again,
Yeah.
I mean, Danny, how many times have we had it? We've had cases where our offender was under surveillance, and they weren't locked up, but they were out on the street, and
Yep.
so I mean,
Many of those surveillances you and I personally did.
Yep, yep.
Watching a
I
guy
mean,
get carried out on another
I mean,
guy's back into the
back.
alley so he can drive away. But yeah, that's because we cared about our cases, which I can speak generally for most homicide detectives. They do care about their cases, and it'll surprise you what they'll go to the extremes they'll go to get their guy.
And Dan, you know this, and sometimes you don't have enough to charge the person. You're right on the
Right.
cusp, and
Right.
sometimes you'll sit on that person's house and just follow them around, and just let them know that they see you when they walk outside, that they know that you're still watching them. I mean,
Yep.
we've done that a couple of times, and man, do they get
Yep.
spooked.
Yes, they do.
guilty. When
Yes,
they're
they do.
guilty.
Yep.
Doug 786. What if the front porch camera installation was part of the staging?
They would know that by now. They would know
Yeah.
that right away. And if Nancy was just putting the cameras up to look at wildlife,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
then she made the decision to put them up, not someone else.
Here, here's a question from my favorite, Copilot. Copilot is been with me from the beginning and actually goes through all of my comments, my videos, everything. I love you, Copilot, and I hope you're feeling okay out there. The individual deterrent with clothes. What if the pacemaker was cut out, removed from the collarbone when she collapsed? Nancy, all those minutes in the house, the blood. Well, that's just it with, as far as that is a scenario, that's probably, that has happened before. Uh, my pink, my pink phone case. That's actually Jackie, my wife. But yeah, that's a possibility. But if they would have cut the pacemaker out of her from under her skin, you'd be talking about massive amounts of blood.
Oh, yeah.
And
Have you really had a case where someone did that?
yeah, we did not personally have it, but I know I've heard of the cases in Chicago where that's happened.
Yeah, there was a case in the city where
Yeah,
it wasn't a pacemaker. It was some other
I thought it
some
was
other
safe.
implant. Yeah, implant that was cut out.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we've seen babies cut out of the womb. So
Yeah, that was a case. That was a case here in Illinois.
Yeah, and Sharon Tate
yeah,
too.
it's sickening.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, well,
Uh,
this is,
just trying to get through some of these last ones. People could the investigators know the mat doesn't matter? I don't know how.
no,
Uh,
every
that's
investigator knows it matters, I think,
that's from
maybe.
Mike CNYC. It's no, that mat was huge and it's a huge miss. I don't care how you spin it, that
I know.
mat is a huge mess.
If I'm gonna try to give grace to people, maybe when they put that tent up on the front porch, maybe they took really good forensic tape and taped the entire surface of that mat and sent that to the lab. But
I don't think
they
so.
still should have taken it. I
No.
know. I still,
You're right. It'd be so much easier and more thorough by collecting that mat,
right, because
packaging it up and sending
yeah,
it where? To Quantico,
to the lab. Yep, the
not to the
FBI
lab
lab.
in Florida.
Mm-mm.
FBI, that's the number one in the world. That's where you go with it, especially when you got somebody with an airplane standing by to put the evidence on there and fly it direct and get it done.
But
Another
for the low
bonehead
price of
move.
$200,000, we could send it to
Man,
Florida with the other stuff. But we'll see. I mean, all you have to do is watch cold case shows on TV to know that a lot of this stuff gets solved years later. Is this at the
yeah.
pace any of us really want? No, but are we still hopeful? I'm hopeful. You guys hopeful that this will come to a, yeah,
Yeah, I somewhat agree with you, Maureen. I mean, this case may be a couple years down the road or a year down the road or
Yeah.
something.
I'm
I
hopeful,
do.
but quite honestly, I'm a little doubtful on it. I'm not as optimistic, but I pray I'm wrong. Pray I'm wrong because in a case this high, such publicity, if they had something, I think they would have moved on it. But I hope I'm wrong.
You know,
You know,
one thing with the porch clown is the reason why he may have taken the camera was because he didn't realize that you could get stuff down off the camera on the back end. So, I mean,
yeah,
he probably,
I've thought all along on that was just being uncomfortable with it there. Just in the back of your
um,
mind, what if this thing is recording? Even though I know it's not recording, but what if it is? You know?
and
right,
also because they knew that was going to be the egress route with Nancy.
yeah,
They knew they were taking her out the front door. But
right.
why prop open the back doors?
Right, right. All right, guys. Wow. What we start this at 6? We're over 2 hours into it. I know minus the chaos for me in the beginning with the tech part, but again, we will get it. Um,
Dan Stover of
please,
Tech.
please like, subscribe, and share if you like what we have here. And especially now with the addition of Maureen O'Connell, I mean, this channel is going to get great. Yeah. So, you guys want to say anything before I close?
Thanks,
No, just
everyone.
welcome, Maureen.
Yep, you're welcome. Thank you, guys. Appreciate you. Appreciate your you trusting in me.
Oh, of course.
Hey, Will,
Most
are you
of it.
eating? Hey, Will, are you eating some ice cream?
Or some pudding?
You know he is. Until next time, keep your family safe and keep your children close. By the way, please remember. Oh, oh, sorry, another technical mess up by me.
Don't let the streets raise your children. Raise your children
Yes.
yourself.
Yes. To
Keep a
all the
close
parents,
hold on them.
grandparents, guardians out there, keep your family close and your kids even closer. Don't let them streets take control of them. So you end up seeing them running in crowds like you're seeing in some of these cities, including Chicago, how they're out there acting like fools. And and when people act like fools like that out there, bad things can happen. And just keep your kids close to you, okay? And until next time, have a great night.
Signing off.
Good night, everyone.
What?
Maureen.
You there, Maureen?
I don't know what happened.
She
to
just
her.
said, screw it, I'm not. Yeah, I don't know. The good thing is she's uploaded. Tim, you're uploading, I'm uploading. The producer's uploaded.
There's
Sorry,
Maureen.
guys.
Nope, that was Maureen.
Yep. Yeah, it was me. I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I see you. I hear
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
I think that went well. I think that other than my freaking tech issues, I think it actually went well. It was
I do too.
a good video.
But I think
Yeah.
going forward, if we have tech issues or anything, let's not talk about them. Let's just, if there's,
Okay.
even if it's just one person that can talk, just let that person talk. I
Yeah.
didn't even, and you can have Jackie text us and say, hey, we got tech issues, just keep talking if you want. And it'll be, I think that'll work that kink out a little bit. That's what Jim and I do.
Oh, hang on. So I'm being told we're still live and it shows stop.
Let's hang up.
Every,
Let's hang up,
yep.
everyone.
All right.
Goodbye.
Adios. Adios.
Okay, we're hanging up.